No longer just a story told in the hallways of that high school, Linda Lusk, now at the center of a criminal case, charged with child molestation, and the whole town is watching.
It had become one of those cases that you never knew what was going to happen.
Attacks on the former mayor and her family were merciless. The phone calls, the hate mail, even the videos going viral on the internet.
Hey, Miss Lusk, how you doing?
No longer just Mrs. Lusk. Those videos made by students at the high school where Mr. Lusk was the principal.
Hey, Miss Lusk, I see you over there.
And where the Lusk children were going to school.
On this little boy's hair.
Their mother was now legendary.
That really upset me. To see that kind of stuff from people you think are your friends, it's hurtful. It's my mom. You don't ever want to hear like somebody you love be just treated like they're a monster.
I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, there were days I just would lay there and just want to die.
And while Lusk couldn't get out of bed, she also couldn't hide from the pending legal battle, one that would try to determine how much of that lurid sex story was actually true, how much really happened versus how much was teenage fantasy. Prosecutors determined to punish this mother, even though the teenager in the case, Bubba Frank, filed no charges himself.
Bubba was not wanting to testify in trial. In fact, he didn't want this to be reported in the first place.
But make no mistake, Bubba's mother wanted Linda Lusk to pay.
What she did to my child was wrong.
She told us she never once doubted her son's story.
You know your children, you know. And immediately I knew. Immediately. There was no doubt in my mind at all, not one time.
But Linda Lusk would put her version of the story to the test. She took a polygraph, adamant the oral sex never happened, and she passed. Defense attorney Larry Stevenson says that's where the case should have ended.
The polygraph that she took, the disclosure that she's had, her history, everything about her indicates that she is not a sex offender. And damn it, the hell anyway, there should have been some way to avoid it.
But the case would go on. In court, prosecutor Andy Miller would ask Linda Lusk about something she told the police, that she had touched Bubba Frank that afternoon.
Did you tell Detective Cantu that you touched the 14-year-old boy's penis with your hand?
I may have.
And was that the truth?
Yes.
Oral sex or not, authorities now arguing touching him was more than enough.
In the state of Washington, that's the crime of child molestation in the third degree.
After that moment in court, the pressure on Linda Lusk and the family by her side mounting. Facing the possibility of years in prison, Linda agrees to a plea deal, acknowledging the prosecution has evidence that could convict her without having to say she's guilty. But in doing so, she knows she'll face jail time.
It was really difficult, and I waffled back and forth. I mean, I know I'm not a child molester.
Linda was sentenced to 90 nights at the county jail.
When you were strip searched every night, I mean, that's so humiliating.
The former mayor suddenly sleeping here instead.
This is where I sleep.
On a top bunk surrounded by 3 cellmates.
I've always been an advocate for children, so it's heartbreaking for me because I know who I am. I know I'm not a threat to anybody. And
can you understand
difficult.
those who might say, though, given what happened, how can you call yourself an advocate for children?
I think, any one of us could judge anybody.
But were you an advocate for that teenager?
This was a kid I took under my wing and really wanted to nurture and help. And, it was one moment in time that happened.
And as painful and unfair as Linda found her jail time, others in the small town felt she got off easy.
I just felt like it was not punishment enough.
And in a telling moment, the teenager himself told us he didn't think Linda Lusk deserved any jail time, insisting that he had not been taken advantage of.
I basically knew what I was doing, so I could have avoided the situation. But yet again, Miss Lusk was the older adult.
Oh, wow.
But after all of those nights behind bars, we were there. That morning before the sun came up, as Linda Lusk got out of jail, her pillows in hand, her time behind bars over.
Do you remember the moment that you felt free again?
You know, I don't feel like I'm ever going to be free of this.
That early morning, heading straight to the grocery store and home in time to make breakfast to surprise the husband, the high school principal, who'd been waiting.
Making your breakfast.
Hey, how are you?
And to surprise the children who stood by their mom. But as we were with them in that kitchen for their first moments back together as a family, the reality hanging over them all. Would this last after all they'd been through? Could their marriage survive?